G'day, guys. Welcome to this week's Hash It Out. This is CW, and joining me once again, we have Noah and Armenio and a special guest, Sisyphus, today. How are we, gentlemen?
Doing well.
Doing good. Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problems whatsoever. Great to have you on. I think we're going to start things off this week just in regards to sort of community engagement and sort of a number of things we can talk about there. Ergo's seen some nice growth, both in sort of the DApp side of things, the development, but then also community growth as well. I'd like to say, seeing sort of active channels on Discord and throughout Reddit, Telegram, all our sort of social sides of things. It's all looking pretty good. There's a number of metrics that we sort of looked at the end of last year, beginning of this year, and there's somewhere upwards of around, I think it was about 5 million messages being sent across the Discord and Telegram. Obviously, with the Reddit side of things, we constantly rank up around the 25 as well, top 25 projects in the crypto industry as well. So we're up there with some big hitters in that respect with the engagement. On Twitter, the impressions, I think it was up around 10 million thereabouts. So we've got a nice big engaged community. So let's hash that out a little bit today.
Sure. Well, I think to start, right, with the whole crypto industry, we have some projects that exist that I would say are very, very, very top heavy, right? To where I don't even know if they have a community. They are able to buy market access, and so that gives them some ability to, have their asset liquid on markets. Usually you'll have foundation or select group of people that really make all the high level marketing decisions, partnerships, oftentimes kind of control the narrative, and there's not a lot of room left for anybody to come in and kind of make it their space, right? And one thing I've always hoped with Ergo, and I think we're doing really well with, is having a neutral network with an open economy on top, to where anybody can come in and create their own business, their own narrative, their own goals, their own outcome, without having to, let's say, ask permission or, kind of need a central entity to direct them. So I would say we definitely skew towards that side of the spectrum, sometimes to the point where it's chaotic, like things pop up and who's doing that and nobody knows, right?
Some new person's popped in and all of a sudden, look at Ergo, for example, just jumped in straight away. They've got a DApp up and running, an app up and running, sorry. It's just caught everyone sort of by surprise there. One thing I sort of still laugh a little bit in regards to sort of, you see people pop up every now and then in the channels and the socials and basically say, who do I ask to go and do this? Or like so-and-so or whatever, but by all means, just jump in and take it by the reins and make it your own.
Yeah, it becomes challenging, especially with the whole partnerships thing, just because most outside entities, they want a central person to speak to. And if you get a community member that tries to facilitate some kind of partnership or outside integration of some kind, a lot of the time you'll end up with their team just saying, okay, but can you put us in touch with the Ergo team? You're a community member, but we need to speak to the Ergo team. And it's really challenging. I don't have an answer. It's something that I'm still dealing with, but over time, I think as the foundation becomes less and less important, we'll see less of that being a problem. Or not, it's not even a problem. It's just like, that's not what we want Ergo to be,
Yeah, you'll often see Dan constantly say, who's the guy?
Yeah, exactly. The Ergo team.
Yeah, but ultimately being a decentralized ecosystem like Ergo, there's numerous sort of projects throughout the industry as well who are not just only sort of decentralized, but also have sort of no foundation and things like that. But there is centralized actors within the community and everything like that that people do approach and discuss and things. But yeah, I definitely, well, you know this firsthand, Noah. It's just an interesting sort of perspective to see it firsthand as well. And someone always looking for that central entity to be able to sort of ask questions and engage with and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
How do we break that down? I guess having sort of those collaborations and everything like that, where we got co-ops like Sigmanauts, for instance, where we do have an organization there where people can approach, I guess. But yeah, it's an interesting topic.
Yeah, I could see a world where Sigmanauts could fill that role. Eventually, once the foundation, if or when the foundation goes away, and that's my speculation. That's nobody saying it's going to happen or anything, but and then somebody comes looking for some central actor when there literally isn't one. That's when we figure out what to do next. But Adam, you're a pretty active Sigmanauts community member, and you've done a lot of organizing in the community for different events and things like that. So I would love to hear your perspective on your experience organizing, whether it's community members or what that relationship with the Ergo Foundation. What has your experience been like there?
I think, for me and for a lot of people coming into the community, like you guys said, there's a lot of ecosystems and change. There's central figures or entities that people look to for development, for marketing, and for general direction of the program. Whether that's miners or those that are actually engaging in the ecosystem with apps and whatnot. And we see that a lot. And, I experienced that myself and was kind of, taken aback by not finding it or feeling as though it's, absent from any kind of engagement. So I think just by just doing my own research and engaging with the community on Twitter little by little, you get to see just that general sentiment among the Ergonaut community of wanting to, not necessarily shill a project, but to educate and to point people in a direction that they were, kind of already seeking going. And that's one thing that really attracted me to the ecosystem and seeing, how collaborative it was. And I think that's important, to really build up community. And we see in a lot of different ecosystems, it's very combative. It's closed source, profit driven, and community is built around, profit. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think, it's hard to sustain a community when that's the main motivator, especially in times like this. And so, getting into the manifesto and seeing how the community kind of rallied around that philosophy and seeing it play out in the ecosystem, I think, it's easier to build community in those circumstances and in that environment. And so that's something that's always interested me and being involved in with Ergo, talking to people and seeing that, a lot of our community isn't devs or artists or those that can actively build in the ecosystem, but they understand that philosophy and it speaks to them and they want to contribute. And that's something, I felt, and, I think through prior conversations, Noah, that's something, you felt as well. You're in the same boat.
Yeah, all of us here, I think, really.
Yeah. And so, you hear, Kushti say, take as much control of the ecosystem as you can. Right. And, so, it comes down to, finding the things that connect with you and and kind of trying to fill the gaps in the ecosystem. And so that's what kind of led me to the Sigma Knots and kind of, what they were doing.
One
Hell
thing
yeah.
I like about the Ergo community as well is you can participate on any level that you see fit and that you wish. So whether you're just an investor or just a community member, you just want to come in and just discuss what's going on in the ecosystem, just keep a little update, whether that's sort of public facing or you just want to do it sort of on the sly, just lurking in channels. But then also you can dive right in. You can jump into the Ergonauts channel, the Sigma Nauts if you wish, drive that sort of program forward. But yeah, anything in between as well. So one thing that sort of stands by me as well, especially in this bear market, is anyone can be anywhere in the ecosystem, in the industry as well. So we've got a couple of pretty unique channels, the Gulag and Baseless. Venture over there if you're dared. One of Joe's favorite places.
I stay away.
But we have developers from other ecosystems, community members from other ecosystems. People are always still here at Gulag and Baseless, whether who knows what they're talking about at times, but they're still here in the Ergo ecosystem and discussing things and being active here in our sort of ecosystem. So I think that's pretty telling as well.
P2P networks are messy, right? And then there's a certain beauty to that, in my opinion. It's like, I don't know, you can look at free market economy, right? It's messy. You do kind of get, let's say, areas that are more built around one industry or idea, and you kind of get subculture, and that's not something that I think goes well when it's directed top down, right? It just grows organically, and hopefully there are at least some principles involved that allow it to kind of flourish in terms of how people respond. But it's always based on voluntary cooperation at that point, right? And my hope long term is just if we stick to open source principles, a lot of the tools that one subset of the economy builds and uses then can become universal, right? And so everybody has an opportunity to take advantage of that if they're able. And hopefully over time we get the educational tools in place that if someone wants to be able, they'll have a path to be able to accomplish that.
Yeah, and anyone can kind of pick up the reins as well, like especially in that perspective, on the educational front. I think last year the team put out upwards of 100 sort of blog posts or news posts as well on the website. So there's so much information out there that people get directed to and things, especially on the video fronts and things like that as well. So being able to sort of take that, and even as a community member and depending on your level of engagement, whether you want to do sort of tutorial writing or anything like that, there's so much information out there that anyone can sort of jump on anything and engage in any which way they want.
Yeah, and I'll just give a quick advertisement for Marty from ErgoPad and Paideia. I think they're looking for content writers, and I think it may be paid. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but yeah, there's lots of room for opportunity for contribution in the community and the ecosystem. Something I wanted to ask you guys is, what makes a good community? Like what drives a good community to gather and stay strong in times of, this is beyond just crypto even, but like right now things are pretty bleak for the industry that we're in, and yet we're all still here. A lot of us are, some have gone, some will probably come back when things are more profitable, but we have a pretty strong community. And how like you said, Joe, you can't fake that top down. So is it just
I look at it. I look at it like, let's just say in life off chain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I don't think that you can always have a single community, because then you always have some single ideology that's dominant. right? And I think that oftentimes it's more, instead of looking at what ideology needs to be dominant, you have to kind of look at it from the bottom. What ideology is shared, right? You know, like you can use the example, like I have neighbors, right? If I can eat with them, I can drink with them, I can talk with them, I can have a good time with them. You know, we can bond, right? You know, versus if we connect and the first thing is this down like ideology. Do you believe what I believe? You know, do you agree with everything I agree with? It's very hard to get to just kind of the let's say base commonality between humans, right? And so, you know, in a way, I think that if we try to like make a singular mold, you know, that's kind of, I don't want to use the word religious, but I'm going to use the word religious here. Right?
Yeah, I
Like,
think it's appropriate.
Yeah, it's somewhat appropriate. I think it's just a matter of saying, okay, well, what common bonds do we share, right? And how do we build on that?
I think that's the brilliance of, the manifesto, right? And kind of defining that purpose and it's not a short-term solution, and so connecting with something like that and seeing the need for it, and your mindset is kind of committed to a long term, and in doing so, your approach to community and who you interact with, how you interact with those people, I think is a little bit different than when you're looking to just come in and find the dip or bounce and cash out, and move on to the next project. So for me and for a lot of the people I've interacted with in the community, that's always the thing that everyone points back to, that seems to be what we rally around.
Yeah, on a basic level, I think the principles and everything that Ergo has, and sort of instilled into the community, just having that sort of open approach and decentralized aspects, being fair and everything like that as well. It does, in my opinion, sort of attract a like-mindedness in that respect. That's not to say that everyone has the same ideology as well. Like, I think we've got some really dispersed and diverse discussions that we have, and robust discussions and things along that line as well. And I think it's healthy for the community to have different perspectives and everything like that. Whereas you're not sort of having that sort of cult of personality and following blindly from the top up, from the top down. Sorry. Yeah, it's cool to watch and see the ecosystem evolve, especially over the last couple of years that I've been in here.
Yeah, I think the key is that looking at the Ergo manifesto and the values that are common in our ecosystem, I think the key is that you can disagree with it, and you could still build something on Ergo and it would be okay. It's like, it doesn't have to be one particular way, and because that's the case, it's like somehow like a weird inverse thing where, because anybody can do anything, there's a certain trust that, or not trust, but just like community value of not doing those things. Do you know what I mean? It's like the community's good at calling out bullshit, even though people can come and make bullshit if they want to.
My goal in a lot of what I've done in terms of like media and getting on video, which I'm actually not the biggest fan of, has always been to try to promote a fair game, right? And to me, that's why open source code is needed. That's why a lot of assumptions need to be open. That way, everybody around the world that wants to participate has a fair game, right? There will be winners and losers whenever you're talking about money and trading and investing on any in any sense. You're going to have winners and losers, but the reality is, I think that there's a lot of places around the world where people don't feel like they're given a fair shake or a fair game in life, especially when it comes to the economy. Like tomorrow or this week anyway, the Fed gets together, they make a decision. and then those 7 people just change the rules of the game, and everybody downstream has to react. So, having at least some sense of, I don't know, fairness. Like, the rules are what they are. If the code is open, the risks are understood. It gives people a much greater chance to create stability than, especially in areas where, let's say the economies of the world, you can look at some that are, quite unstable. You could look at the lira in Turkey and how it's, inflating at a rapid rate. You can look at Lebanon as an example. Their banking system collapses. If you're in that economy, that's not a fair game. And I think there's a lot of people out there that would simply wish to have access to a game where the rules are, at least the assumptions are known, and then they take risk based on that rather than the entire board is unstable.
Mm-hmm. I think the cool part about that too is because the foundational principles that you're talking about, where things are open and fair, is that people will come and invest in Ergo, and it attracts a certain kind of people appreciate that the thing that they're investing in is built on fairness, and even if they're not technically minded, we see it over and over again that people get passionate in this community because they value the values that our community has, and it creates a really positive feedback loop where people get introduced into the community, they like what they see, they want to get engaged, and it just keeps going. That's it's not only good for financial fairness, but it just tends to attract people that want to contribute to something good. And we see that a lot in our community.
I've been in the industry now for a long time, and been in my sort of fair share of different communities and jumping into different channels, and some I've lasted about 30 seconds just looking at someone's like say Telegram or Discord or something, and basically go, yep, no, this isn't for me, just because you have that whole moon boy sort of crazed side of things, and there's others where there's no substance whatsoever, just talking about price and things like that, where in our community there's not too much of that discussion. Like obviously when things are hot, and if you jump into baseless, then you'll see all kinds of things, but in the trading channel it's not too much versed around price, and I think that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah, you see a lot of that. I don't know. On one hand, the crypto industry is in a way, it's just as diverse as a network of P2P networks should be. To where, like, on one hand, you have something like Bonk, right? we have a new dog coin, and everybody gets some, and then
I almost spat out my water.
Yeah, there's just madness, right? I don't know it. I don't understand it. I've always said that, I would rather go to a casino because the drinks are free than that kind of thing. And then on the other hand, you have like people saying, okay, well, what if we could use proof of work to equalize energy markets and stabilize energy grids? And, you have a totally different aspect of thinking in terms of like, how could we use this technology to, change money? And then on the other hand, we have the bonkers, right? And they coexist, and it's kind of beautiful. It's kind of madness. I don't know what quite to make of it sometimes, but
I like to see the beauty in it personally.
Yeah, tell us about that. I know you're pretty interested in the NFT community and I know on this show we've made some jokes about how silly the NFT community is, but I really respect how personally invested, not financially speaking, but you really do a lot for the NFT community, and you care about all the artists, and I think we can all agree that there's some craziness that goes on in the NFT community with rocks and dick butts and all that, but there is some really cool artistry and beauty, and I know you appreciate that a lot, and I'd love to hear about your thoughts about it all.
Yeah, definitely. You know, NFTs, hold a lot of potential, that we haven't really even unlocked yet, as an industry and certainly, as an ecosystem. However, one of, the low-hanging fruit utilities, if you will, of NFTs is artwork. And I've always appreciated the arts in many forms, whether it's performance arts, visual arts, whatnot. And I think, having an avenue for artists to have greater ownership of their work, and not just in the initial sale, but over the longevity of the creation, I think empowers artists in a way that, these communities haven't always been empowered. A lot of communities, especially, here in the US, I live in Miami, which likes to portray itself as a vibrant arts city. However, getting funding, for these institutions, these nonprofit institutions is always difficult. So there's a lack of commitment to it. And so, that's something that, I always wanted to promote from the beginning, is the opportunity for these artists to utilize the blockchain to further, their work and their creations. And we have some amazing artists in Ergo who, even without the blockchain, would be producing, great work. So I would love to continue promoting that and to continue, have more artists onboarded into the ecosystem and have it be known for a vibrant art community. However, with that personal goal, I don't think that's the only or even the best way that NFTs can be utilized. And so, I think there's a lot of tooling and work that can be done in the ecosystem. I love, what Daniel and Zengate is doing, in that front. I'm eagerly awaiting Ergo names. Gaming, there's a slew of games that are just around the corner that I'm just itching to try out. And, and there's going to be more on the horizon. So, I think the versatility of them, combined with the EUTXO model, provides a lot of exciting opportunities. And I think when you have the underlying layer of a fair tokenomics or a fair economy that it's built upon, combined with, the community that, we always reference, I think there's a lot of possibilities there. And also, I think, NFTs drive community. It onboards a lot of users. It's something that people can relate to either visually or through some sort of utility. And I think that it's, kind of that introduction to the ecosystem. So, people make fun of it. And I do too, because, you're, a lot of times you're spending thousands of dollars on what essentially is JPEG images. And I probably spent the first year of my, time in Ergo not spending a dime. There wasn't a whole bunch of options to spend it on, but, I couldn't understand how people would let go of their precious Ergo for an Ergosaur or an Ergnome. As cool as they looked, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. But, being engaged in the community, seeing how passionate the artists are about their work, it motivates me and it makes me want to help spread what they're doing to the greater community, and maybe once I find my voice a little bit more to the larger crypto ecosystem, and really help support efforts that are onboarding more artists.
Nice little initiative that you put together also is the NFT awards. Can you give us a little bit of an update on how that's sort of running?
Yeah, it's running great. I was actually just checking on it. I was curious how it was going, and there's a few categories that already have a couple hundred votes total. So yeah, just like in the past year, I saw a lot of growth in the NFT community, a lot of new artists, a lot of new developments, and so as we kind of rounded out the year and in a lull market wise, I wanted to kind of take the opportunity, kind of recognize that work and kind of keep momentum going for a lot of these projects and encourage them, as a lot of them are, instead of before, on the brink of making big releases or updates to existing projects. So I wanted to kind of capture the community sentiment while at the same time showing the projects that the community is kind of behind them in a way. So like the nominations, the final voting, even the cost of shipping awards out to the winners, it's all come from the community. So kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier about that the NFT community being a vibrant one, and kind of a good microcosm of the larger Ergo ecosystem, but one that I feel is more active on a regular basis and kind of underutilized in the larger ecosystem.
Yeah, the Erg voter is pretty slick. I gotta give a shout out to HQ for that. He's done a really great job on that website. And I remember in the beginning he was nervous that he was gonna make me mad because he was trying to do something similar to Sigmaverse. I was like, hell no, dude! Like, it's the whole point of this thing is do whatever you want, make it better than what we've got, so that we should be better, And he's done a great job, and the voter is really cool. I have a lot of respect for him for doing that for you guys.
Yeah, he is one of the more active community members that I kind of see on a regular basis, whether it's kind of voicing his opinion on things, but also reaching out to projects, taking the initiative, finding out ways that he can help them, in a lot of this, similar ways that I'm talking about, just finding out ways you can help. And he has a lot more talent than I do, and put up Aircube, and he's helped me a lot on graphics and banners, and a lot of the stuff I'm doing, as well as many other projects. So Aircube, it's been a work in progress, and it's been kind of great watching him find his rhythm with it, because I know for a while he was looking for ways to really kind of make a difference in the ecosystem, and just kind of through helping out here and there, really kind of found how he can do it. So I'm really excited to see where that goes, and I think it'll be a great tool, for seasoned Ergonauts and new ones alike to really, have a snapshot of a lot of the things happening in the ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're interested, head over there and check out the website. It's great source of information for basically projects and tokens, and NFTs, content creation, all kinds of bits and pieces. So nice little sort of community resource there. Interesting that he reached out anyway. No, it's kind of sort of touches on what we spoke about a little bit earlier in this episode about sort of asking permission and things like that. So yeah, nice little insight there.
Yeah, it's good to call it out every once in a while. Every thing that comes from the Ergo Foundation, or that's on the Ergo YouTube channel, that's Ergo Media, feel free to reuse it. It's open source. You want to take my videos and make fun of me, I don't care. Have fun.
Yeah, you're not gonna hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, just reiterate.
Especially when you're making a good thing, It's like you don't need
the
to ask
worst I would
permission.
do is change the background. Like I don't know if that's like a real if that's like your real living room, or if that's like a one of those Zoom background options that
No,
I
it's
didn't see.
real. That's my living room. I'm sitting with my dog at my feet, my living room.
As I've never seen the plant move, and I'm just,
Yeah, see, look at Noah.
Yeah, that was,
if you could, Joe, do me a favor and just, take a snapshot of the background once we're done and share that image so I can upload it as an option for my Zoom meetings. I would love to have a meeting where it's just everyone has the famous Joe background.
Yeah, the next hash it out. We're all gonna be in Joe's living room. It's like you and QXCW. Like,
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
well, if you don't know,
Update.
QX flew out to Australia at the beginning of the week, and we filmed one of the Sigma updates, so the SIG updates. So that was great to have him here, and it was fantastic. It was only a short visit though.
yeah, no, I'll too. It's open source. Everybody can have it.
Oh, let the cat out of the bag. Actually, one thing I did have a laugh at, it was one of the AMAs where I think Dan joined or something like that, and it threw your screen off, and someone's actually made that a little GIF of you peeking around.
Yeah.
I think
I've seen that too. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Of all the content and everything that's all being produced and stuff like that, I just see his little Armenia head pop up out of nowhere.
Outside doing videos at like 6 a.m. I don't know what's happening.
Take a while for the copy to kick in.
Well, now we're completely off the rails.
Yeah, so we're back to normal.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Where are we talking about? NFTs? It's so hard to gauge the value of culture, right? Because it's something that connects. Music has the ability to connect people. Art has the ability to connect people, and it will connect different people in different ways, right? And that is something that's, I don't know how to like fake that. It just kind of happens. You're listening to music, something hits you, or you're, looking at something and it moves you, right? It's hard to.
That's the beauty of it, though. What you connect with, I might find rubbish or might find pointless. So, that's the beauty of art. There's some collections, that I just don't get, but sell tremendously. And there's others that I think are just brilliant work that will sit on the marketplace completely undervalued month after month after month. So, it's community, it's utility, it's marketing. I think that's one thing that a lot of projects and artists could really work on, is kind of promoting themselves, tooting their own horns, spreading what they're doing. But a lot of them, they don't have the time, knowledge, confidence to do so. They just want to, put their heads down and create. And I respect that. So, that's kind of why I try to do the little bit that I try to do as well. But yeah, it's hard to value. I hope that I did an okay job in valuing them. For my sake, because I am on top of time, I am financially invested as well. So, but again, I like to support projects. I like to support those that are making the blockchain viable for users like me. And even if it's just to go on Sky Harbor a few times a day, check their tweet or Discord, it keeps me active in the community. I like seeing updates. I like seeing, what people are doing. And I see Noah's always in a lot of the same chats I visit, getting updates. And, more times than not, they're all active and, just ready for more releases.
The funny thing about NFT culture, like you mentioned the marketing aspect, and unfortunately, I think the state of the industry that we're in tends to value the marketing of artwork more than the artistic value of itself for its own sake. And like I love that in the Ergo community we have a lot of artists that produce like one-of-one artworks. I think it's really special, honestly. You know, it's like I would much rather own a unique piece of artwork that somebody put hours and hours of time into, rather than an AI generated thing, or not you know, it all has its place. And I know we have AI artists and we have like the algorithmically generated ones. But it's a funny thing how the market tends to value projects that are not the one-of-one artworks. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the time it's like, at least in other ecosystems like Solana or Ethereum, or even on Cardano, it's like people will pile into one big project, they watch the price go up, they sell the top, and they wait for the next project, they do it all over again, rinse and repeat over and over again. It kind of bums me out because there's a lot of really fantastic artists that are out there that are trying to do cool stuff. But right now the market kind of does its thing, and hopefully long term we see more respect for hardworking artists and people that really are just trying to be creative.
Yeah, you'll see that often as well, especially in even traditional markets like with physical art and things like that. There's that whole speculative side where people will just flip art and just have absolutely no idea of who, or have an interest in the person who produced it or anything like that. And then others who just die hard all over the artist, love everything about them, or someone who just walks past a shop and sees some artwork hanging on a wall and go, oh, I need that because it's just hit me, like Joe was saying, sort of on the cultural side. It sort of takes everyone, and especially like you just mentioned, one big aspect, especially in crypto, is that whole speculative side in regards to NFTs as well.
Yeah, crypto can be a weird industry sometimes, where it's like, I don't want to say the squeakiest wheel gets the grease, but sometimes the squeakiest wheel gets the grease. And I don't know, a lot of the times it's like social media tends to push people to extremes to where they compete for attention. And so then they get more and more and more ridiculous. And I don't know, I see that sometimes on, let's say like Twitter, where, personally I call it the Bluebird Asylum, because I don't know, I live in the mountains and I just kind of look at how people interact with each other, and I'm scratching my head thinking, what is this?
Yeah, I see a lot of people that it's like desperation to try to pump their bags. And I don't know, I've seen so much of it for so long that it just kind of makes me depressed now.
You're immune?
Yeah, I don't know. But that's the way of things, I suppose.
Yeah, especially when people are heavily invested and may not have trading knowledge and things like that. And with the turnaround, like who sort of know or knew what was going to happen at the start of last year when sort of geopolitical crap happened and fallouts like with Luna and who knows what else. We all sort of discussed basically everything at length that's happened over the last year. So people get caught up, heavily invested, worried about their bags, their portfolios down, I don't know, X%. And some people you see sort of, like you said, with the desperation side of it, they get caught up and may not necessarily see a way out. But yeah, it's interesting sort of take there.
Me personally, I think like, this year, one thing I'm looking forward to is music, NFTs. I don't know. as a human, you're like, I've always enjoyed just like putting on the headphones when I need to, and kind of going into whatever zone that is. So that's one thing that I hope we see some grassroots musicians and kind of culture form, and hopefully at least quiet days on the bear market, we have good music, right?
Well, just on that, also we can shout out to Riro. I think he's going to be one of the first artists signed on Liquid, maybe. I know
Wait, for real?
He put out something earlier. I think it was Joe. Was it? You mentioned could probably be put on Liquid Audio.
Yeah, when the auction house first came out, like.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
I was always hoping for music, just because,
Why not? Yeah.
Working in front of a screen, having people, that are all connected in chats. It's a great way to share music, right? And Riro stepped up. Riro the hero. He made a rap song. I think he covered Biggie, I think.
It was so good.
And it was so good. Shock.
Oh my goodness.
Do we know who owns that?
I don't know who owns that, but it's classic.
I wish it was me. I wish I had bought it.
We'll have to try and hunt it down. If anyone knows who owns that, give a shout out.
Back in the beginning of when I was first getting into the Ergo community, I made a few audio NFTs as well.
Yeah. I remember you made one on, I think it was Charles's speech or something along those lines.
Yeah, it was like Charles shilling Ergo, basically. I was like, that's something I can make into an NFT. And it was fun. It was a good learning experience on how to mint an NFT. And I hope we see a lot more of that. I work in audio, and I think there's a lot of room for disruption in the entertainment industry. I think there's a lot of resistance from the powers that be. But, you look at the streaming world, Spotify is a really shit deal for small artists. And you have platforms like Bandcamp that offer a little bit more grassroots community around musicians. But I think even they take a small cut. And it's not like they're going to have like a royalty structure like you can with NFTs. So, that's always been kind of a hopeful fantasy of mine that one day the entertainment industry will embrace NFT technology. And I think in the meantime, we'll get a lot of cash grab NFTs from Warner Brothers and Capitol Records, and like all the big players. We'll see them try to cash in on the hype. But I think we'll get there long term. And in the meantime, we'll have some small sort of grassroots efforts pop up, like Swamp Audio, what they're doing, stuff like that.
So many cool, like independent upcoming artists and things like that who are putting out amazing sort of music, and being on a platform like that where sort of profit sharing or profit distribution between artists and things like that could be really sort of nice to see.
Yeah, the idea of like a decentralized record label where a DAO could decide to fund certain artists that maybe represent their brand or their culture, or that just seemed like they could be profitable. That's a cool idea. That's maybe that's out there. I haven't seen it, but it's a potential.
When Noah Audio.
No.
All right,
For now, I'm a cog in the machine, but maybe one day.
Well, we're coming up to time anyway. Is there any sort of last words we want to have on communities or anything like that we've discussed today?
Personally, I think that, one like nice way to end this talking about, whether it's art or music is you do have the ability to collaborate and create new economic models that are enforced by smart contracts. So where, you even do, let's say you have I guess in art, you'd call it a gallery. You could have a decentralized gallery of NFT artists that share revenue, or, a label for musicians. And, one nice thing is you have community, and it's a great way to also grow the community. There's a lot of people out there that may not understand blockchain technology, or, Ergo, or, it's kind of foreign to them, but they do like art, they do like music.
Yep. Anything, Noah or Adam? Sisyphus, sorry.
I'll just
go
say it was great to have a new guest on, and maybe we'll see you back again. Maybe others out there can join as well.
Yeah, I had to remind myself at times that I just wasn't watching the episode of Hash It Out. So, I'm like listening to you guys talk, and then I see myself in a little screen. I'm like, oh wait, I should probably have some input here. So hopefully better. I'll be a little bit more next time. I'll be a little bit more chatty. But just final thoughts on community. I think it's the Ergo community. Even though it's small, is strong, and there's been healthy fostering of an ideal and notion of collaboration, and kind of moving forward. And so I think just encourage people to find their place, and let their passions lead them. I shill NFTs, like and I make a joke about that, but at the same time, artists are making money off that, and hopefully one day they'll be able to make a livelihood off that. And so, but that's what I connect with. So whether it be in the larger ecosystem, or if people are inspired to really participate and engage on a wider scale and work with others who are doing the same, in the Sigma program. Just find your passions, whether it be content creation, translations, whatever it is, and your talents, and bring it to the table, because it's all welcome, and it's all permissionless. So do what you want, do what makes you happy, and help make Ergo great.
Yeah, by all means, great words. For myself, it's probably one of the big ones. Like, you can't fake community. It's been mentioned a couple of times. You can't fake it. You've either got it or you don't. And I think we've got a nice, big, vibrant, engaged community here at Ergo, and it's a great deal. It means a lot to me, and it's a big deal and value generation for like NFT artists, projects, anyone sort of wanting to interact with the ecosystem just by answering simple questions and things like that throughout different channels. So thanks to each and every Ergonaut out there. You make this place what it is. So gentlemen, it's been a pleasure chatting once again on Hash It Out. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Cheers. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me. Night, gentlemen.
A good one, everybody.
Ciao.